host, Renee Kranz. In the studio with me today, I have Aria Webster. Welcome, Aria.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so everyone's like, well, who the heck is Aria Webster? So Aria came to my attention through Apollonia Davalos, who many of you know from her performance in Christmas at the Cathedral a couple years ago. You probably, if you're at the cathedral at all, or even just around the diocese at all, you may have met her. She has a ton of energy. She's on fire for the church and for God. And she brought Aria to our attention because Aria is on the path to becoming Catholic this Easter.
Yes.
And she's very, very excited about it. And she happened to also run into our social media coordinator in our office at a restaurant recently. And Brianna was like, oh my goodness, she knows Apollonia and I think we should talk to her. And literally that same day, Apollonia reached out to me and said, hey, I have this person for you.
Yes.
So we've heard a lot about your story. So we're expecting big things, Aria.
Yes. Yes. Big things. They're coming your way.
Good. So will you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your family, what you're doing right now for regular life?
Yeah. So I'm originally from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I came here in 2021. I was freshly 18, just graduated high school. So yeah, I moved here in 2021. And I come from a beautiful family of 5.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, Shane and Jessica, they have done just an amazing job of raising me in a faith that I'm forever grateful for.
Yep.
So shout out Mom and Dad. Love you guys. Love you guys.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hi, Mom and Dad. I have an older brother, Bryson. He's 27. He's recently just engaged, so we're celebrating that in our family.
Yay.
And him and his fiance, Marissa, have blessed me and our family with 2 nieces and 2 nephews.
Nice.
So I'm an aunt of 4.
Nice.
And then I have a younger sister, and her name is Tenley. She's 13, and it's really cool because she's actually on her own faith walk right now.
Yeah.
She's getting confirmed into the Lutheran Church this coming May.
Very
so
nice.
Talking with her and getting to hear a little bit about her story and her walk has been really inspiring to me as well.
Very nice.
So yeah.
And you came here to go to school.
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Why here? Just by the grace of God. I mean, USF. So yeah, I go to USF.
Mm-hmm.
I'm studying criminal justice, going to be a lawyer.
Yep.
After my time here at USF, I'm hoping to get into law school, become a lawyer, do all the fun things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing for school. I came here by the grace of God.
So there's a story behind this. We were talking just a little bit before we started the show, and there's definitely a story behind this. So I don't know if do you want to tell this now?
Yeah,
you want
I
to
can
talk
do it.
you want to talk about your relationship with faith before that, or is it all connected?
I don't want to say it's all connected, but I can do that now.
Okay, yeah,
So,
go for it.
My eyes were originally on the University of Missouri.
Okay.
I was really, really excited about it. It was 9 hours from home. I was kind of in the Midwest, but wasn't, and I was all in for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, God closed that door. Did not accept me.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually got denied. I'm proud to say that. I mean, I'm proud to say that because there's a story that comes with it.
Right.
So, got denied from there. And it was actually my best friend from high school. One of her neighbors is a football commit for USF.
Okay.
And he's like, I heard about what happened. I think you should look into USF
Mm-hmm.
because I think it would fit your needs.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So I took a look at it, hated it, wanted nothing to do with it. I was like, absolutely not. We're done. We're done here.
Right.
My mom's like, well, you need to apply because, you
have to go somewhere.
You have to go somewhere. And so I'm like, okay. So I applied. A couple of days later, I got a text from my admissions counselor saying, hey, welcome to the family you're in. And I'm like, wow, I just got accepted to college. And so, but I still wanted nothing to do with it. And so my mom had gotten an email from the school saying, hey, we have these accepted student days for this major. We're inviting you to come.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom's like, let's sign up and let's do it. And I'm like, dreading it. I'm like, no, thank you. But I went anyway. And I fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. And I saw what God was doing there because we are a Christian campus.
Right.
We are a Christian campus.
Yes.
And so I was like, wow, there are beautiful things happening here.
Mm-hmm.
But on my mind at the same time was a school in Florida.
Right.
Which would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's definitely warmer.
Definitely warmer than here. But I was all in for that. I wanted to go to Florida so bad. I was so ready. And so it was actually college decision day at my school. Had gotten into both of these schools, so I had apparel from each. And they were like, where are your school? Where are you going? Like, celebrate where you're going to college. And I'm like, well, I have 2 shirts. I haven't made my decision. What should I do? And my mom looked at me and she goes, I think I know, or you know, what shirt to put on. And I put on my USF shirt, and I was literally driving to school. And God was like, this is where you need to be. And I just heard that and felt that. And I was like, okay, USF, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
So I'm here, and I've fallen in love with it. And I've watched God work through a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm here.
Okay.
So yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit, because obviously you're on a path to become Catholic now.
Yes.
But you were Lutheran, or you were
was.
Lutheran currently.
Yeah.
So what was your faith like before deciding to come to college, and before you kind of got on this path to come to the Catholic Church?
Yeah. So I grew up, my parents did, like I said, an amazing job. I grew up in the church, I would say. We were in church every Sunday. My mom comes from a very strong Lutheran background. We come from the Missouri Synod branch, which
Sure.
is kind of a more conservative
Yes.
Lutheran branch, which is a huge blessing. I mean, we have a lot of the same, like, I don't want to say ideologies, but like the same different belief system
Yes.
as the Catholics do. And so my dad actually didn't come from a faith. And so when he married my mom, he was also welcomed into the Lutheran church, which
Sure.
was really cool.
Yeah.
So my parents raised me in the church. We were in church every Sunday. My pastor's daughter was actually my babysitter growing up. So like we were heavily involved
Right.
in the church.
Right.
And it was about freshman year of high school. I had lost a dear friend to a car accident.
Oh,
And so I was really angry at God for years.
Sure.
Saying, bargaining with him, why did you need her more than I do? Why did you take her? She was so young, 15. And I was like, what was your reasoning for that? Like,
Right.
I was very, very, very angry with God. So
Yeah.
I was confirmed in 8th grade. So I went through a lot of the catechism and then completely dropped off by 10th grade. Wanted nothing to do with it. And then coming to college, I didn't even look for a home church. Like I was
Oh.
kind of like in and out
Sure.
of my faith. Like I was very lukewarm.
Sure.
Is a perfect word to describe it. I would
Yeah.
be like, oh, here's Bible verses for when I need them, but I'm not going to share them with anybody.
Right.
It was
Right.
kind of just like, meh, whatever. And so that's kind of what my faith was like.
Yeah.
And I didn't look for a home church. Freshman year was really tough. I was still kind of getting used to being away from my family because I'm very family oriented.
sure.
So, yeah, not looking for a faith at all. I
Okay.
was just kind of doing it on my own terms.
Yeah. So something happened.
Yeah.
What happened?
What happened? So end of freshman year, I got an email from the school saying, hey, we're taking a trip to Israel. Who wants to go? And so I'm like,
Who says no to that?
who
right?
said, no, seriously, who says no to that? I'm just like, I would be dumb to pass up this opportunity.
Right.
So I go to this info meeting, and after the info meeting's done, I'm like on the phone with my parents. I'm like, you guys, like, we need to go on this trip. And my mom's like, tell your dad he's going to, because I'm not letting you go out of the country to the
Right.
Middle East
Right.
without your dad. And me and my dad are best friends. He kind of raised me in a way that was really special. And so me and my dad have done everything together
Right.
since I was a kid. And so sophomore year, I took this trip and I saw God. I literally saw God. It was crazy. I went to all these different places. I was in, Jericho. I was in Jerusalem. I was in Nazareth, Bethlehem, you name it, Galilee. I was everywhere. And I had a really special opportunity to get baptized in the Jordan River,
Oh, wow.
which was crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
It was really cold.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
But there was no words for it. It was a blessing. And to be baptized in the same river Jesus
Yeah.
was, is crazy. And so while I was in Jerusalem, I kind of noticed, it was in the kind of the back of my head, that there were no Protestant churches anywhere. Everything
right.
was Roman Catholic or Orthodox.
Sure.
Like that's where all like our big, like Church of the Holy Sepulchre,
Yep.
Church of the Nativity, they're all owned by the Orthodox or the
Oh,
Catholics.
Catholic. Yep.
And so I was like, where is everybody else, And so that kind of sat in my mind for a while.
Yeah.
And so I came home. I'm riding this high. You know, I just got back from this trip. I'm like on fire for Jesus, like total switch from freshman year of college.
Right. The lukewarm to
I'm on fire.
yeah.
So I come home and we start our semester. And that first weekend of the semester, my life came crashing down.
Oh.
Crashing down. I call it the 72 hours of hell. It was the weekend from hell. I'll never forget it. My aunt had passed away, so I drove up to Fargo to mourn her and her passing. The next day was the 5-year anniversary of my really good friend passing away in that car accident. The next day, I had gotten my debit card information stolen and my identity stolen.
Oh my gosh.
And someone tried to file unemployment insurance in my name. And the next day, my dad lost his job.
Oh gosh.
And so all of that hits me in 72 hours, and I am just on the ground
You're
crying.
reeling. Yeah.
I'm literally crying. And so that Tuesday, I had come home from work. I was still living on campus. And so I was driving, and I parked my car, and I literally started like bargaining with God. I was like serious, like actually yelling at him. I was like, I just did everything you wanted me to do. I went on this pilgrimage. Why would you do this to me? And I remember screaming, crying, and being like, God, where are you? And he didn't answer me for 5 days. 5 whole days. I was like, okay. So while I'm in this class, it was the beginning of our semester. So I'm in this class that USF requires. It's called Intro to Christian Thought and Practice. And it's so like what different denominations do and what they believe. And we kind of went through the heresies and just all of these different things.
Yeah.
And so part of our like semester like project was to go to all these different churches around Sioux Falls and see how they worship.
Oh wow.
And so it was really cool.
Yeah.
The upcoming weekend was the Cathedral of St. Joseph. And so I have ties to the cathedral. I'm part of USF's choirs. So we sing here every year
Yes,
for
you do.
the Sacred Art Series,
Yep.
which is actually coming up here next month. I'm
Yeah.
super excited. So I was really excited, and I knew Apollonia was a parishioner here. So I texted her, and I was like, will you come to this mass with me? It's required. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm scared.
It's a good idea because there are some things that are different.
A lot different. So I'm like, that was actually a year ago yesterday.
Wow.
Which was
Ooh.
crazy. So yeah, yesterday, a year ago, I went to my first mass, and I texted my mom beforehand, and I was like, Mom, like I have to go to this mass. And she goes, this will forever stay in my mind. And she goes, you know the truth. Talking about Catholics. And I was like, okay, like I know what's up. I know this is what I was raised as. I'm not going anywhere else. And so Apollonia brings me into the pew and just kind of hanging out. And
I'm sorry, you didn't stand a chance when he brought Apollonia with you.
No, I didn't. I really didn't.
I'm sorry. Continue.
I was like, well, and so it's during, I think I'm saying this right, the consecration of the Eucharist. And I'm kneeling and I'm just before God and I'm like praying. I don't even remember what I was praying about, but I just felt this warm kind of embrace around me. And I heard the words, welcome home, daughter. And I was like, I just sat there. I opened my eyes. I like physically threw myself off of like the pew. And I'm like, everyone else is, you know, praying and like eyes closed. And I'm like, Bishop DeGrood's standing there holding the Eucharist. And I'm like, what is going on? I was like, what just happened? And, you know, nobody else heard anything or saw anything. And I'm like, what? And so I didn't tell anybody about this for like 3 days. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
What just happened?
Right.
And I just kept going to mass and kept falling in love with it. And I told Apollonia, I was like, I think this is where I need to be and where God wants me to be. So she got me connected to like everyone, as you can tell.
Right.
So yeah, that's a little bit about my like
That's
coming home.
That's amazing. So now you are in OCIA now, is what I believe. Yes.
OCIA.
They changed the names of stuff and then I can't remember what it is.
I still call it RCIA. But
Yes.
whatever.
How's that going? I mean, have there been difficult parts for you? How are you finding it?
It's difficult.
Yeah.
You know, I went through catechism as a Lutheran for like 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And so we literally sat there and did the catechism.
Right.
And so there's been a lot of things and a lot of topics that I've struggled with. You know, I think Mary and the Saints has been really hard because as a Lutheran, we would bring Mary out for Christmas and then put her back away.
Right.
Like there was never any type of prayer to Mary or asking for her intercession and things. Like there was just none of that. Or
Right.
the saints.
Right.
Another one that was really hard for me this year was purgatory.
Oh, sure.
I really struggled with that. In October, I lost 2 of my grandparents in the same weekend,
Oh, wow.
which was obviously something I never expected. But then walking into this idea of purgatory, and I was like, I don't want to believe that they're there. You know, my grandparents lived an amazing life, and I pray that they're in heaven. And so I really, really struggled with that one.
Yep.
There's always been challenges. You know, my parents, my mom's a Lutheran. She was raised hard Lutheran.
Yep.
And so it's been hard to, you know,
Yeah.
call my mom and be like, hey, Mom, like, I'm really struggling with this. And she goes, well, I don't get it either. You know, that's not something that I,
Right. I
And I'm
can't
like,
help you, honey.
yeah. She's like, my mom's helped me for 20 years of my life. And
Yeah.
she's like, I can't help you with this.
Right.
And so I guess that's been really tough too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there've been some challenges. But yeah, I've come out. I'm still chugging away. We're almost to Easter. I'm like, heck yeah. We're almost there.
Yeah. How are your parents doing with it now? I mean, are they? I imagine there was a little surprise.
There was.
Yeah.
There was. I ended up telling them the night of the cathedral concert last year because they were
sure.
in town and it was March. And I was like, I think this is a good time to tell them. My mom, obviously, I don't think she was hurt. I don't want to say that she was hurt, but she was like, we all worship the same God. We all worship the same Jesus. And she goes, there's never, denominations shouldn't matter. And we still worship the same God. And she's like, I still love you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate you for.
I'm so glad.
I know. So
Yeah.
because I've heard a lot of people where parents and families have split. And
Yes.
I'm like, I'm lucky in my case where
Yeah.
my mom has been so understanding.
Yeah.
So
That's really great.
yeah.
It's really good. So, what's your favorite part of Catholicism so far?
Yes. My favorite part. This is going to probably come as a surprise because it scared me in the beginning and now it's my favorite thing. But the sacrament of penance.
I was going to say, you're going to say confession.
Confession. Yep. That's exactly what it is. We didn't have anything like that
Right.
growing up. And so I was freaking out. I actually just gave my first confession 3 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. And I was in the confessional and I'm like physically shaking. I'm like, what do I even do? And so I think to be freed of everything that I couldn't forgive myself for
Right.
over the last 20 years was incredible.
Yeah.
And just hearing the priest say, you are forgiven. You don't
Right.
have to worry about this anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, I never have to worry about this.
Right.
So
You don't.
it was my favorite.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
What's been the greatest blessing so far?
There's 3.
Okay. Good.
I kind of saw this and I was like, there's 3. I think the first one is having a personal relationship with Jesus. It's something that I've never really had and obviously pushed myself away from.
Right.
So having that connection and falling in love with him and, recognizing what is and isn't from God has been incredible. So yeah, just getting to know him better and talking to him like he's my best friend.
Yep.
And just riding this journey with him has
Yeah.
been trusting in him. So
Yeah.
that's probably number 1. Number 2 is probably community that
Yeah.
I've gotten. Apollonia set me up with amazing people. Tracy Austin from Christ the King.
Okay.
Love
Oh,
her.
yeah. I know Tracy. Yeah.
Yes, she has mentored me. Yeah, we met a year ago, Valentine's Day, so coming up. And so she's walked me through and answered, all of my questions and have guided me to the right people when Apollonia couldn't be here. And she introduced me to her college group at Christ the
Yes.
King.
Yep.
So that has been great. I've gotten to know a lot of great people who are my age, who
Yep.
are going through it, same
Yes.
thing. And so I'm just like, awesome, I'm one of you now. So that, and I think the biggest, another big blessing is this funny story, but also sentimental, is Bishop DeGrood.
Yeah.
Me and one of my girlfriends, we were at Azteca,
Oh, yeah.
the restaurant
Yep.
in Minnesota. Yes.
Yep.
And we're sitting there and I look over because I love to see if I know anybody anywhere. And I'm like, Maya, that is Bishop DeGrood. And she's like,
At Azteca? I
at
can't even
Azteca.
picture
No,
that.
seriously. He's like, and I'm like, that is Bishop DeGrood. And Maya looks over and she's like, oh my gosh, Aria, that's Bishop DeGroot. And so we're like having a fangirl moment over Bishop DeGroot. I'm like, awesome. So I'm texting Apollonia. I'm like, you're never going to guess who is here. And she's like, who? And I'm like, Bishop DeGroot. And she's like, go say hi right now. And I'm like, he does not know me. He doesn't know me at
matter.
all. And so she's like, just go. And I'm like, fine, I will go. So I go and introduce myself. And Bishop's like, hey, like, what's going on? And like, I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I was like, I'm Aria. I'm in RCA at the cathedral. And he's like, oh man, like just so excited for me. And I was like, yeah. And we got to talking and he looked at me in the face and he goes, you know, we're sitting in a Mexican restaurant right now, but in just a few short months, I'll be giving you the greatest sacraments you could ever receive. And that like moved me in such a way and just made me realize that I have a home here and this is what I want. And I'm seen. And so now whenever I go get my blessing at the
during communion,
he sees me, I see him, and we give each other the biggest smile, and he puts the Eucharist back in the thing, and I'm like, yeah. And so he gets super excited, and I do too, and I kind of giggle after because I'm
that's
like,
awesome.
That's how we know each other.
Okay, is that the Saturday evening mass?
Yes, it is.
So it's the TV mass. So I'm going to be watching for you next time we're doing TV mass.
Please do.
Of course, we record that.
I'll sit up in the front.
Wave a little bit.
I'll just be like, hey guys. I know I saw that. I was actually watching the mass from yesterday to see if I could find myself because I kind of sit up closer to the front. And I saw myself and I was like, wow.
Oh no.
I'm like, oh, that's actually me singing.
That's weird.
It was like, yeah. So that was that.
Aria, so we are pretty much out of time. So I want to let everybody know what we're going to do here with Aria. So since she has not been confirmed yet, we're going to bring her back after Easter. And we're going to do, it won't be on radio. You'll have to come to YouTube to see it. We're going to do unless she has at least 20 minutes more worth of stuff.
Of course I do.
Which she might. So we're going to bring her back so we can hear from here forward how your Lent goes, how your confirmation goes, being received into the church.
Yeah.
And your first communion and all that good stuff. So we're going to bring her back so we can hear all of that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming in.
Of course.
It's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
In a month or two.
Yes, in a little over a month.
But even now, we're really glad you're home.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks,
Aria.
Aria.
So much, of course.
Yeah. If you haven't found us already, you can find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at SF Diocese anytime. That's it for us today. Hope you'll join us again next week for more Catholic Views.